Tonight, breaking news, a new highly transmissible COVID variant sparking fears around the globe. President Biden banning travel to South Africa and 7 other African countries after the WHO designated a new variant of concern. And questions swirling. Could the highly mutated strain be more resistant to vaccines and more contagious? The Omicron variant, first detected in South Africa, now confirmed in at least 7 countries. Fears of another COVID wave sending the markets tumbling. The Dow with its worst day of the year. Could this variant be headed to the U.S. next? Also tonight, Black Friday frenzy. Holiday shoppers out in full force. Many looking to avoid supply chain pitfalls by buying their gifts early. Retailers hoping to rebound after a disappointing 2020. Plus, reports of shots fired at a crowded mall. The late details just coming in. Frontline hotshots, our team embedded with the special ops of firefighting in California, getting an up-close look at the grueling toll of this year's record-breaking fire season. Flash mob crime. Shoppers on edge after a string of stunning robberies, the latest at a luxury department store in California. What law enforcement says is driving this latest wave of crime. Plus, a takeover plot. The president of Ukraine accusing Russia of working with a Ukrainian billionaire to stage a coup. Tensions between the two countries reaching a boiling point as a buildup of Russian troops at Ukraine's border sparks international concern. And good evening, I'm Morgan Chesky in for Tom tonight. We begin top story with that troubling new variant first detected in South Africa. The World Health Organization calling an emergency meeting today, designating the new strain a variant of concern and assigning it the Greek letter Omicron. World leaders reacting swiftly to the news. President Biden late today announcing a ban on travel between the U.S. and 8 countries in Africa. Nations across Europe and Asia enacting similar restrictions. Health officials warning mutations in this new variant could make it highly transmissible, though there is no data to suggest it is any more deadly. Vaccine manufacturers now scrambling to test the effectiveness of their shots against this strain. And fears of yet another wave of COVID sending shockwaves through the financial world, too. Wall Street with one of the worst days of the year. Our Dr. Blackstone is standing by to break down what all of this means for you at home. But first, here's NBC national correspondent Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight, concern over a new highly transmissible COVID variant first identified in South Africa is rippling across the globe. The White House imposing new restrictions on air travel from 8 countries starting on Monday. A World Health Organization panel has just named the strain Omicron and classified it as a variant of concern.
This variant has a large number of mutations, and some of these mutations have some worrying characteristics.
President Biden saying he was briefed by his COVID response team this morning.
We don't know a lot about the variant except that it is a great concern. It seems to spread rapidly.
Today, the WHO convened an emergency meeting but cautioned against an overreaction. Still, from Asia to Europe to the U.S., stocks tumbled. The Dow plunging more than 900 points.
You'll be waiting for the test return results.
Passengers on this flight from South Africa were told of new restrictions before arriving in the Netherlands.
People are getting more and more anxious. They want to get tested. They want to go home. How long this is going to take, we don't know.
Today, Belgium was the first European nation to confirm a case. Around the world, a growing list of countries are now limiting travel from southern Africa. Though more study is needed, experts warn that Omicron might be more resistant to vaccines.
South African epidemiologists think that this is more transmissible than the Delta variant.
What is the likelihood that this variant is already in the U.S.?
It's already here. Unfortunately, we now know from previous variants that by the time we pick it up in Africa's and in the European Union, it is already likely.
All this comes as the U.S. just crossed another sobering milestone in the pandemic. More than 780,000 American lives lost. There's also a surge in new cases nationwide, an average of more than 90,000 new infections each day.
We are now bearing the brunt of a delayed wave. Delta has really knocked us for a loop.
But on this Thanksgiving weekend, air travel is back to almost pre-pandemic levels. The TSA screening more than 2.3 million passengers on Wednesday.
This is our first plane, travel trip using an airline since the pandemic hit.
And Gabe Gutierrez joins us now. Gabe, I'm curious, what are vaccine manufacturers saying about this one?
Well, Morgan, Pfizer, Moderna, and J&J say that they're already testing their vaccines against this new variant. And Pfizer says it expects data back within 2 weeks, but its vaccine may require an adjustment if the variant continues to spread globally. Morgan.
All right, good to know, Gabe. Thank you. And for more on this new variant, Dr. Uche Blackstock joins us now. She's an NBC News medical contributor, an emergency physician, and the CEO of Advancing Health Equity. Dr. Blackstock, now that scientists have identified this variant here, when might we know how quickly it spreads and if it's more dangerous than the current variants that exist?
Hi, thank you so much for having me on tonight, Morgan. So essentially, we are going to have to see what happens over the next few weeks. There's going to be significant studies that need to be done within laboratory and analysis of real-life data of this new variant to see exactly, is it more transmissible? Is it more virulent, meaning does it cause more severe disease? And does it evade immunity, meaning will the vaccines be less effective against this particular variant?
Doctor, as Gabe said, the White House has announced some new travel restrictions today to try to stop the spread of Omicron. But do you think that it's already here in the United States?
Yeah, so unfortunately, we've seen in the past travel bans are not that effective, and unfortunately, by the time that we see this variant across the world, and we've seen it now identified in a number of countries on different continents, it likely is already here. It was picked up in South Africa because they really have an excellent genomic surveillance system there. We probably will ultimately see this variant here within the next few weeks.
Only a matter of time. And we know many people are going to be traveling this weekend after gathering with their loved ones for the holiday. How worried are you about a post-Thanksgiving surge in COVID cases?
Right. I think inevitably we are going to see that surge. The question is, how big will that surge be? And will vaccines, first-time vaccinations and boosters help to blunt that surge? People will have been indoors socializing, which we know is incredibly high risk. Eating, speaking with each other. And so again, increased risk for transmission. And so again, people should be encouraged to get tested 3 to 5 days after these gatherings to see if they do test positive. If they do, they should isolate and contact anyone else they've been around.
All right, good advice, Doctor. Thanks for making time to join us. News of the Omicron variant shook the stock market today. The Dow dropping more than 900 points at its worst day of the year. The S&P 500 closing 2% lower as investors worry about yet another COVID surge. Caleb Silver joins us now, the editor-in-chief at Investopedia. Caleb, question here. Is the new variant what's driving today's losses, or is there more to this?
Well, investors have been climbing walls of worry for the past 6 months, whether it's inflation or the supply chain issues. But today was about the variant. This is the biggest drop we've had since July. You know what happened in July? The Delta variant. That's when the stock market fell 2%. So travel stocks, hotel stocks, cruise stocks, all getting really sold off hard today. But it was across the market, and oil falling 13% on the day alone.
Now, we say all the time the stock market is not the economy. A lot of people could be seeing this and be worried about their 401ks or other investments. When you look at what's taken place in the last 24 hours, how concerned are you about future market turbulence here?
Again, this is about how long this lasts and whether these vaccines are resistant against this. But we've had a lot of knee-jerk reactions. This felt like one of those today. We'll see what happens on Monday. Is there going to be buying on the dip? We didn't see that this afternoon. Are investors going to come back in and buy the dip because stocks fell a little more than 2% today? Or is this the beginning of a big downdraft? That remains to be seen. But it feels today like this is very much a knee-jerk reaction to the virus, to the new strain.
So for now, investors, be patient.
Be patient. You've had a pretty good year if you're a long-term investor, and when you have a big sell-off like today is not the time to sell your stocks.
Good point, Caleb. Thanks so much. And we are following breaking news out of North Carolina on this Black Friday. A mall shooting that was reported late today. Police say 3 people, including a 10-year-old, were shot and another 3 were injured. All 6 were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Police say people running from the streets were at South Point Mall. And on one of the busiest shopping days of the year, 1 person has been detained. Police tell us their investigation is ongoing. And we'll keep following that developing story. Meanwhile, in other Black Friday news, many shoppers searching for deals are looking online instead of heading into the stores. And with the supply chain in crisis, some are checking off their holiday gift lists early before it's too late. NBC News' Jolene King goes exclusively behind the scenes to see how one retail giant is handling one big rush.
With Black Friday stampedes slowing to a trickle this season, shoppers are spending big online.
Most of my shopping will probably be online.
Consumers shelled out $5.1 billion online on Thanksgiving Day, the same as last year. Another $9.6 billion expected online today. With the pandemic forever altering how consumers make their purchases, Best Buy is transforming how they utilize their massive stores. We got an exclusive look inside.
With the surge in online shopping, Best Buy renovated this store, reducing the sales floor size by more than half to make room for this new warehouse to try to meet customer demands.
I'd say it's a game changer. You never know what's here.
Best Buy Executive Vice President Damian Harmon says the same number of customers now shop online as in store. So the retailer is focusing on same-day and next-day shipping from new warehouses like this one.
It does move things faster because I'm in the neighborhood. It doesn't have to come from, somewhere 120 miles away.
In each fulfillment center, dozens of people pick and pack behind the scenes, part of a growing workforce that's largely invisible to the consumer, but essential to rapid delivery.
How much faster can you get orders to customers now?
I'd say 10 times faster because we're only focused on taking care of the customer that's in my hand. We have multiple customers are in my hand and getting that product out the back door as quickly as possible.
But with major bottlenecks in the supply chain, it's still on the shopper to figure out how to score this season's hottest gifts, like a PlayStation 5 or Xbox.
Will there be enough gaming consoles for everyone who wants one for the holidays?
I think that's going to be difficult no matter how it plays out because everybody wants them.
A race to shop and deliver before time runs out.
And Jolene Kent joins us now live. Joe, I'm curious, if what you want is sold out, are you just totally out of luck here?
You know what? You could be out of luck. You also could go and pursue plan B or plan C. A lot of the retailers telling me that you really need to act early, especially if your item is popular. It could very well be stuck on a container ship, right? So the key here is if you're ordering online, be sure to check out that estimated delivery date, because if you don't, you could be getting your gifts in January, Morgan.
Oof, better act fast. All right, Joe, thanks. And for more on how to stretch out that holiday shopping budget, we are joined by consumer savings expert Andrea Warrock. Andrea, Black Friday typically marked the start of the holiday shopping season, but a lot of retailers have offered deals earlier this year. So I'm curious, where do things stand at the beginning of this holiday shopping season now?
You're right. The holiday shopping season started basically right after Halloween. We saw Walmart release their early Black Friday sales the 3rd of November, as well as Macy's and Target. And so a lot of people have gotten a lot of their holiday shopping done, but people are out shopping this weekend. Record sales are expected today and through the weekend. And so, a lot of people are shopping. Retailers are going to be doing well.
I have not been one of the ones getting my holiday shopping out of the way. I am curious, in past years, stores would slash prices on some items even closer to the holidays. You think that's going to be the case this year, too?
So here's the deal. If there's a popular item that's on your list, you really don't want to wait. If you find something on sale this weekend today or this weekend Cyber Monday, buy it, because there's a chance that it might sell out and there's no point in waiting. You might not even see that big of a sale later. But there are going to be deals if you have flexibility on what you're giving, whether it comes to clothing or beauty or shoes or even home goods. There will be sales if you want to wait. So don't feel like you have to panic buy everything now. But just keep in mind, Black Friday is a great time to buy TVs, small kitchen appliances, and other gadgets like headphones and activity trackers. Cyber Monday is the best time to buy shoes, clothing, and beauty goods. You're looking at site-wide sales, and you can even add coupon codes to save more. And there are tools like Cently that you download to your browser, which automatically add those deals so you don't miss out. And then mark your calendar for Tuesday after Cyber Monday. On the 30th of November is Travel Deal Tuesday. We see the most deals on airfare, hotel, and car rentals than Black Friday and Cyber Monday combined. And if you use the Hopper app, which is a price tracking app, they have exclusive savings on top of already marked down deals. So let's say you want to go to Greece. I saw some remarkable deals on flights to Santorini, plus an additional $100 off through Hopper. So it's a good time to shop for that.
Santorini, say no more.
Sounds great, right?
Right, not bad. What hot items are going to be in short supply this season? And what products should shoppers not worry about finding on the shelves?
So I'm telling people to pick up their video gaming consoles soon. Those, the latest PS, the PlayStations, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, those are going to sell out rather quickly. I'm seeing a lot of really good deals this weekend, and so I'm expecting those to really move, and you might not find those later on in December, as well as toys. A lot of the big popular toys, Lego sets, Barbie Dream House, anything that has a surprise factor like Hatchimals or those LOL surprise dolls, those are going to go quickly. But for things like I mentioned earlier, let's say you want to get somebody a new coat or winter boots or maybe a new beauty item, but you're not very specific on what that item is. Shop closer to Christmas. There will be inventory and plenty of deals and maybe even better ones on some of those items then.
Last minute deals. That's my kind of stuff. Andrea, thank you so much. And we take you now to the scorching front lines of California's record-breaking wildfires. Our Emily Akeda is on the ground with the Hotshots, a specialized unit of firefighters battling those blazes head on. But staffing shortages and worsening wildfire seasons are now making their jobs even tougher.
Flames threatening homes and holiday celebrations. With power cut to tens of thousands, Southern California facing a red flag warning, high winds and dry conditions. Amid a record-breaking wildfire season, we followed the so-called special forces of firefighting to the front lines. For the U.S. Forest Service Hotshots teams, this is an everyday battle. You can see it in their weather jackets. The grizzled group is in high demand, underscored by staffing shortages.
You know you're going to be rolling. Come back to back.
Captain Simeon Hagans is a 12-year veteran, leading the Valley Armo Hotshots from the monstrous Dixie Fire to Lake Tahoe's Caldor Fire, and a blaze infiltrating treasured sequoia groves.
These steep, treacherous slopes, typical terrain for hotshot crews. With their specialized training, they can go to areas other firefighters can't.
Hauling 50 pounds of gear, Hagen's crew scaling the iconic Sierra Nevadas.
Looking to get a ship launch.
To help direct helicopters to hidden wildfire hotspots and eliminating hazards along the way. 3 firefighters injured in 3 days working the Windy Fire, a grim reminder for hotshot rookies like Adrian Salas of what's at stake.
Who can be next, you know? You never know.
For years, starting pay for most federal firefighters has been roughly $13 an hour, below an entry-level position at Target, fueling a critical staffing shortage within the U.S. Forest Service.
Do you feel like people ever leave to other agencies because they can find higher pay?
Yes, oh, definitely. I can't sit here and say no.
During the peak of fire season, the U.S. Forest Service had more than 300 unfilled firefighting positions in California, and just 2/3 of the state's hotshot crews were fully staffed. While some federal firefighters will see a boost in pay from President Biden's infrastructure bill, longtime staffing shortages cut deep as wildfires intensify. 13 of California's 20 most destructive fires on record happening since 2017. The team stretched so thin, the agency closed all of California's national forests for more than 2 weeks this summer.
When you see these wildfires and you look up on the hill, there's probably some hotshots out there working really hard.
With so much on the line, a tireless grit gets them up to do it all again tomorrow.
Wake up time 0500.
Emily Ikeda, NBC News, Sequoia National Forest.
We turn now to Washington, where President Biden will have a lot on his plate when he gets back from Thanksgiving weekend with his family. Kelly O'Donnell's been traveling with the president. She joins us now from Nantucket. And Kelly, when a lot of people get together for the holidays, they try and take stock of where they are at that moment in time. When we look at the Biden presidency here, where are they and what comes next?
Well, happy holidays to you, Morgan, and perhaps President Biden and his family will try to enjoy this sort of holiday vibe for as long as they can this weekend. Out and about doing some shopping today, attending the local Chamber of Commerce tree lighting where there was caroling going on. That's the backdrop. So what is the picture? Certainly for President Biden, we've seen very low poll numbers that are a threat to his presidency. We've seen economic challenges, but also a couple of bright spots in the economy. While inflation is at at a 30-year high. The jobless claims fell to a low not seen since the late 1960s. And so we expect hiring in the holiday season as well. So those are sort of two different pushes and pulls in the economic area. We also know, especially on this holiday weekend, gas prices are an issue for many American families who've been driving to see family members. And so the White House is trying to take steps to reduce some of the pain at the pump by increasing some of the supply, by taking an unusual step to release barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, trying to put pressure on oil and gas companies that have been enjoying profits but have not been reducing gas prices. And when you look at the legislative picture, the infrastructure, a bipartisan now law, is a big win for the Biden presidency. But what else will come down the line in terms of legislation? So the White House knows that there are some political headwinds. They think there are some good things they can talk about. And so much of it is affected by how the country feels about COVID, which we know is a very changing picture that affects people's health and the economy. Morgan?
Yeah, it is such a fluid topic. Kelly, I'm curious. We heard earlier in the show about the president talking to reporters about the new variant and these travel restrictions. What are the political implications of implementing these new restrictions just 3 weeks even after previous COVID restrictions were lifted?
Well, one of the things White House officials are telling us is that this is a move out of an abundance of caution. They have seen how quickly the COVID picture can change. And at this point, there are no known cases of this new variant inside the United States. But we know that it's on a couple of different continents, and it takes very little for travel to transmit that virus across oceans and across borders. So they want to try to take these precautions. Does not affect U.S. citizens, but it would restrict travel for others coming into the United States. They want to try to limit that additional exposure. Of course, that does impede some of the commerce that comes with travel, some of the family reconnections for many who have waited these last couple of years unable to travel. So it's a mixed bag, and it is not something that the administration wanted to do, but felt compelled to do by the new data involving this new COVID variant.
Understood. And looking forward here, does Biden's Build Back Better plan, which could be his signature legislation, pass the Senate before the end of this year? What do you think?
Well, the goal is Christmas, and there is very little time left in the legislative calendar for Congress when they get back to work. And they have other big things to deal with, too. Funding for the government runs out next Friday. Congress will need to deal with that. There is the borrowing limit for the nation with the threat of default hanging in the balance. That comes up December 15th. And there's this legislative work. The House has already passed the president's bill. Can the Senate do it? There are big expectations that this can get done. At the same time, the White House is very cautious, saying it will be difficult. A lot of it will focus on Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, the two moderates. They're hopeful, but they also tell us they know it'll be a tough challenge. Morgan?
All right, much more to come. Kelly, thank you. Still ahead tonight, the alleged plot to overthrow a European leader. The president of Ukraine saying he uncovered plans for a coup orchestrated by Russia and a Ukrainian billionaire. How the Kremlin is responding tonight. Plus, shoppers on edge after a string of smash-and-grab robberies at luxury stores, while law enforcement believes is driving this wave of crime. And the high school football team one win away from history, hoping to become the first all-deaf team to win a division title. Their inspiring journey coming up. Top stories just getting started. Stay with us. And we're back now with a troubling trend. Popular California stores are on high alert after a wave of smash-and-grab robberies hit the state, with some retailers losing up to $200,000. And it's all happening as we enter the busiest shopping season of the year. Here's NBC's Aaron McLaughlin.
Amidst the Black Friday frenzy, retail stores and shoppers across California on edge.
So it is kind of scary, and the fact that this has happened now makes me wonder if I should even walk in there.
Following a string of so-called smash-and-grab robberies, striking retail stores across the state. Wednesday night outside Los Angeles, suspects attacked a department store security guard, snatching $25,000 worth of high-end purses.
They attacked him with some kind of a caustic chemical. After the initial suspect attacked the security guard, additional suspects entered the location and removed a number of high-value, high-dollar purses.
Get on the sidewalk! Criminals seen using similar tactics in the heart of San Francisco. And in a nearby suburb. Organized shoplifting crews breaking into high-end retailers, grabbing merchandise, and fleeing as a cluster of getaway cars blocked traffic. An estimated $200,000 worth of merchandise gone in a matter of minutes.
I saw people running down the street. I probably saw 50 to 80 people in like ski masks, crowbars, like a bunch of weapons.
Many of the robberies orchestrated, authorities believe, by criminal masterminds who stay far away from their crimes.
They're paying the individuals to do the robberies, they collect the goods and then fence them and move them to other parts of the country.
And the situation is getting worse. In 2020, the state saw more than 5 times the number of investigations into organized retail crime compared to 2019. Designer clothes and handbags now among the top targets. According to law enforcement officials, California is now home to 3 of the nation's top 10 cities for organized retail theft.
You're a holiday shopper in California. How concerned should you be about this?
I think people need to keep their wits about them. Don't flash cash. Keep your purse in 2 hands or close to your body, under your coat. At the sign of trouble, loud noise, cars where they don't belong, get off the sidewalk, get off the street.
Now, we don't really know why this is happening now. Some law enforcement are pointing to legislation that reclassified some felony theft offenses as misdemeanors. Others are pointing to copycats and the internet. Many of these goods end up for sale on fringe websites. Morgan?
All right. Aaron, thank you. And coming up, the tributes pouring in for one Broadway legend. Stephen Sondheim, the musical genius behind so many iconic American musicals, has died at 91. We take a look at his iconic body of work. Plus, that high school football team on an incredible winning streak, now setting their sights on a division title. What they had to overcome to get there. When we come back, stick around. Back now on Top Story with news overseas. Allegations of a sweeping plot to remove Ukrainian President Zelensky from power. The head of state saying Russians may be involved as tensions between the two countries continue to escalate. Keir Simmons with the latest tonight.
Tonight, with Russian troops massed on the Ukrainian border, President Biden is responding to claims a coup is planned against Ukraine's leader.
I am concerned. Look, we support Ukraine's territorial integrity.
The Kremlin denying involvement in an alleged plot to overthrow the Ukrainian president. We received information that a coup d'etat will take place in our country on December 1st, Ukraine's President Zelensky told a news conference today. He claimed, without evidence, to have intelligence and recordings of the plot involving Russians and implicating a Ukrainian billionaire oligarch who also denies involvement. NBC News cannot verify the claims. It's 5 years since President Putin was accused of trying to meddle in US politics ahead of the 2016 election. 2 years earlier, Russian forces took Crimea from Ukraine. But Putin has in turn accused the West of interfering in Ukrainian affairs. And speaking to me in June, President Putin accusing Ukraine of deepening military cooperation with the US.
The European Union said you had more than 100,000 troops on the Ukrainian border.
Ukraine itself constantly, and I think is still doing that. Part of them have been airlifted from the U.S. continent directly to our borders.
And Keir Simmons joins us now from London. Keir, President Putin has been very clear in the past that he is against forcing leaders from power. So if he did support a coup plot to remove the Ukrainian president, how could he justify that?
Morgan, it's a good question. It's almost President Putin's mantra not to interfere in others' affairs. But remember that he believes that the US was interfering in his election. That's part of his motivation for interfering in the US elections in 2016. And he certainly thinks that America has been interfering in Ukraine. So perhaps something like this he might justify as some kind of retribution. It also fits with his playbook to not confront America directly, but mess around in the margins, if you like. So we don't have any proof that President Putin was behind this, or if there isn't even a coup, but it might fit with his playbook. Yeah, certainly no love lost there. And Keir, Washington's worried about Russian troops on the border.
Is there a danger that the U.S. gets dragged into yet another conflict in Ukraine?
Listen, I don't think that President Putin is likely to launch a full-scale war, if you like, sending troops across the border. That's not really his style. But remember that conflicts can start by countries being dragged into them. Certainly NATO is increasingly supportive of Ukraine. That means the US, there is no love lost, as you say. And there is a very little seeing eye to eye between the two sides. So it is a dangerous situation. Certainly Washington wants to see it de-escalated. Over.
No doubt. Keir Simmons, thanks so much. And back here in the United States, a historic first for one of our country's most storied universities. The Harvard Crimson, the student-run newspaper, naming its first Hispanic president. Raquel Coronel Uribe, the daughter of journalists, now preparing to take her place in a long line of American icons who have held that post. NBC News anchor and correspondent Tom Llamas with her story.
Combing through the archives of the Harvard Crimson is like taking a trip back in time. More than a century of journalism cataloged, and so many bylines from young journalists who would go on to make history. Presidents like FDR and JFK. Michael Crichton, who wrote Jurassic Park. And reporters like the New York Times' Nicholas Kristof and Linda Greenhouse.
Is the Harvard Crimson.
But in its nearly 150 years of publishing, there's never been anyone like Raquel Coronel Uribe.
I was so shocked that I didn't even know to scream. I was just sitting there shell-shocked.
Shell-shocked because Raquel, a Colombian immigrant, is the first Hispanic president of the Crimson.
People who have stood in my shoes before me are some of the best journalists and some of the biggest leaders that this country has known.
Journalism runs deep in her blood. Her mother, Maria Cristina Uribe, is a former television reporter, and her father, Daniel Coronel, recently ran Univision News and remains a prominent columnist. But this family story starts back in Colombia, where Raquel's father had to flee. His reporting led to death threats.
People wanted to kill your dad because he was a reporter.
People wanted to kill me because my dad was a reporter. You know, the threats, they centered around him, but they also centered around my mom and me.
For your family, journalism, the news is so important, it's worth risking your life for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's ultimately what it means to me, because I think exposing the truth and holding people accountable is as important in Colombia as it is in a university like Harvard.
But living through that scary time is only part of Raquel's story. At 16, she was diagnosed with leukemia.
She never complained. You know, all the time she was very positive, and she had the best attitude toward the treatment.
She battled the disease and came out on top, excelling in school, getting into Harvard, and earning a job at the Crimson. Soon, Raquel was breaking news, her byline becoming a staple for the Crimson, reporting on issues from campus scandals to police accountability. Now, she'll transition into leading the newsroom.
I hope that this is leading a change, or helping to lead a change, along with many other people, in kind of making that representation equal.
An inspiring journey that's just begun. Tom, thank you. Now with the story of a unique and undefeated football team that's headed for a championship game. The players and coaches all agree the real secret to their success might be that all of the players and coaches are deaf. Aaron McLaughlin has their inspirational story.
The Riverside Cubs are in the zone and hoping to make history. They're now just one win away from claiming their division's championship title, a first for this team of all-deaf coaches and players.
It is a big deal. It's huge for me and the football team.
Number 45, David Figueroa, plays offensive lineman and defensive end for the Cubs.
I believe in my football team. I believe in these guys. I know they can do this.
The players say a big part of that belief comes from Coach Keith Adams. He's been leading this 8-player team for the last 4 years.
I'm nervous. I'm a little nervous. Excited? Yes, very excited. I'm very, very proud of our players. They've gone so far. Yeah, they have not given up. They've just persevered. They've practiced hard, and we are getting close to what their goal is.
that goal is now making national headlines. The inspiring story of the Cubs that could has propelled the team to high school stardom.
It feels overwhelming. It's been nonstop getting messages, congratulations and well wishes. My email is blowing up. I've had some NFL head coaches, the Tennessee Titans have sent me congratulations. It's just been amazing.
And the spotlight only growing brighter since we first profiled the team a week ago.
21. Ram. Pepper.
The team believes being deaf actually helps them be better players and teammates, seamlessly communicating with rapid-fire hand signals. All their other senses heightened.
Hearing people don't use their eyes as much, and they're less alert visually than we are.
Factors that help them crush their most recent opponent under the bright glare of Friday night, the team's 12th straight win. But the Cubs have also seen much darker days. Felix Gonzalez is one of the team's star offensive players. He says his talent hasn't always been recognized by the hearing world.
A lot of hearing people say, oh, well, yeah, deaf people, they can't do this, they can't do that, they're not smart enough, they can't do it because they're deaf.
Starting at just 5 years old when he was on a hearing team, Gonzalez says he was bullied for being deaf.
I played until I did something wrong. The coach would get mad at me and yell at me. And I'm the only deaf person on the team. He would smack me, he would yell at me, so it made me really upset, and I'd get home and I'd be in tears.
So how did that change when you arrived on this team?
Moving here to be with Riverside, I really liked communicating with my team members. They can give me the plays directly and I can understand it instead of me just guessing and having someone just talk at me.
It's been described as a brotherhood. Do you agree?
Absolutely, I agree. It's definitely a brotherhood with this team.
Figueroa says it's a bond that will last a lifetime.
Even off campus on the weekends, we don't ever lose that bond.
When you step on the field on Saturday to play, what message are you sending?
The deaf people can play the game. We're going to play hard. We are equal to hearing people on the football field.
You're going to win?
Yes, we're going to win.
The championship game kicks off Saturday afternoon. This season has been a major win for this little team with big heart. They say they want to show the world what deaf people can do.
We're back now with another nationwide shortage hitting malls all across the country. Santa Claus. Many stores are still struggling to find Santas, leaving some parents to explain why Santa may not be coming to town this year. NBC's Emily Akeda explains.
I'm Santa Claus. Oh, you don't believe that, do you?
From the silver screen
Santa! Oh my God!
I know him.
To holiday jingles.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
Santa Claus is synonymous with the joy of Christmas, and time with him, a tried and true childhood tradition.
Would you like to sit by Santa?
But this year, St. Nick may not be coming to town. The U.S. labor shortage stretching as far as the North Pole.
We've never seen the demand or the shortage of Santas like we're doing this year.
Mitch Allen is head of Hire Santa, a company that provides Christmas characters to stores and events nationwide. He says while demand for Santas has surged more than 120%, the number of available Kris Kringles has dropped by double digits.
Talk to me about why we're seeing less available Santas.
Number one is you can imagine that Santa Claus entertainers are at a high risk for negative consequences if they catch COVID.
Derek Betzendorfer is among the Santas sitting out because of temporary health issues.
So I know you have to stay home this year. Are you excited to get back at it next year?
I want it so bad. I miss it. The kids need Santa, especially this time of year.
With Santas in short supply, some families are making reservations weeks in advance to see him.
It's a family tradition. We believe in Santa.
We didn't get to do it last year because of COVID, so we were excited to experience it with him finally this year.
When visiting Santa's Village, you'll likely find COVID safety protocols.
Tell me what you wanted for Christmas.
A Star Wars Lego set.
The Star Wars Lego set.
At the Glendale Galleria outside of Los Angeles, Santa is vaccinated. Kids can sit 6 feet away or next to him, but not on his knee. And masks are required for those over 2 years old. Exceptions can be made for the picture, but that's up to the customer.
Safety is the number one thing for our guests, first and foremost. Their level of comfort and how they feel about the Santa experience is what matters the most.
For 3.5-year-old Dominic Laporte, this was a holiday highlight.
Dominic, was this your first time meeting Santa? Yes. What did you think?
I like it.
The pandemic reshaping holiday celebrations, but Santa's message steadfast.
What is your Christmas wish for this year?
I would love people to be happy and to be safe.
Industry experts say if you're having trouble pinning down Santa for your event, consider hosting Mrs. Claus or elves to bring that festive spirit. And if you're set on seeing Santa in the mall, a lot of locations are offering online reservations. Just be sure to book yours early.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.